Mark Muller, who's not there. And thanks for having me invited here. And secondly, I thank Samantha Weaver, who's working with me in lots of researches and lots of protocols in Paris. And also thirdly, I have to thank my embassy, my French embassy, for having what you call salute AMS and giving a good support, and also congratulating me and Dr. Fellows. That's great.
Can you do me a favor and just speak up a little bit? I don't want to
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I think I'll spare. Yeah. I am from Paris and I work in the Department of Sleep Medicine in Antoine Becquerel Hospital there. And now I work in sleep physiology and sleep medicine and very much interested in muscle phenotyping to bring something for the OIT. And I talked about impaired muscle function in OSA. There's a non-anatomical phenotype for myofunctional therapy. And I have no conflicts of interest here. And you all know this obstructive sleep apnea is increasingly common disorder. It's with heterogeneous phenotypes for many causes. And the treatment is fast, and now itself, even still now, is limited to anatomical intervention, like giving CPAPs or doing mandibular advancement devices and doing surgery or by the weight loss. And the later things, they have unpredictable results. But giving the CPAP, yes, giving for one size fits for all, it stands no more because there are many types, many phenotypes, and you will see that. Now we require a targeted approach to identify the phenotypes and give a targeted approach to the treatment for each phenotype, or we can combine the treatments. This is the essential aims of my study here at my talk. And impaired anatomy. Impaired anatomy, we've seen that all the radiological and MRI scanners is a static phenomenon. This is only static. We are looking at into the narrow pharyngeal airway, increasing the airway length and pharyngeal luminous shapes, vertical or transverse. And you have the obesity is increasingly common factor in all these developed countries, even in our country, in France, in States, everywhere. It's an epidemic, we say that. And there is a deposition of the fat tissue, fat around the pharyngeal soft tissues, and increasing the tongue volume and the tongue fat, and also increasing neck circumference, thereby increasing collapsibility of the pharyngeal lumen. But this it doesn't complete the story, this impaired anatomy. You're looking in a static way. When you look into this panel, you can say because of that is towards your right side, there you see that narrow and crowded airway. We think that this patient has severe OSA because the tongue fat is high, tongue volume is big tongue volume, and this pharyngeal lumen is narrow. Do you think that he has OSA? Come on, somebody can tell me.
Maybe.
Maybe, no. Yes or no? 0 or what?
Which one, the left or the right?
This one.
You're asking for a habit.
Yeah, this one.
I guess yes.
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 Let's see.
There you go.
There we go. Yes, please. Come on, see.
Oh, look at that.
He's opening the pharyngeal airway. Why? Because the muscle is functioning. There's a great muscle response that we have to look into. If this muscle responsiveness is not there, he will collapse his airway. This is a non-anatomical factor we are not looking into. We are looking just a static image. It doesn't give any information. Just it gives an idea, of course, but it's not still there. And now we see that there are some non-anatomical factors here. some type of impaired anatomy. I call for collapsibility, I use the term impaired anatomy sometimes. Please understand. And this impaired anatomy is necessary to drive the pathogenesis of OSA. If there is impaired anatomy, there is obstruction to the airflow. Yes. And there is, again, there are non-anatomical factors, and you see here, there is dilator muscle responsiveness that has responded very well in the last patient there, but it doesn't respond, the muscle do not contract effectively, or it will decrease the airflow, and it causes decrease in the airflow and it increases the severity of OSA. And there are two anatomical, non-anatomical factors also, very important, because arousal thresholds are congenital. We can't say that there are arousal thresholds, they don't change much in the subject. In the time he does the arousal, it's a certain respiratory effort. I'm talking about the respiratory effort related arousals, not non-related arousals in arousal in general. Then, if this arousal threshold is low, the patient wakes up pretty faster with a little disturbance of ventilation. He will have a difficulty to sleep. And there is a loop gain here. The younger patients have, mostly we see higher loop gain in younger ones. And the loop gain decreases with old age. Also, what's the loop gain? Loop gain is the ventilatory disturbance, the ventilatory response to ventilatory disturbance. If you stop breathing for 20 seconds, stop, and then you breathe, and then I ask you to open up. Come on, open your dilators. Open. Then you have a response, overt response. Sometimes the response is normal and steady, and you do like that. That's a steady response. In some subjects, you have an overt response. It's a high sensitivity of the chemoreceptor system for this decreased ventilation. I am French, that's why a little bit I translate in my mind. It's Franco American. Then that's also important. These are the non-anatomical factors we have to identify, because if you choose a certain treatment, it will be a catastrophe. We can't get good results. We'll talk about it. This is functional anatomy. Functional anatomy is usually measured by the peak rates, because this pharyngeal critical closing pressures, where at a certain pressure, when zero airflow, there is a zero airflow. It differs from person to person. It's difficult to understand that, because once you put in this y-axis all the these peak rate values here, and you have air type in this way. Here in between -5, this is collapsibility is less here, -5 to -20. The patient has no OSA, and if it's atmospheric, it's around some 2 plus, yes, severe OSA. In between 5 and 2, you have a variance, large variance. There are normal subjects here, the dark ones. They are mild, there is moderate, and there is severe OSA. Again, this what I say is to given at a certain predisposition to collapse, there's a wide variance of AHI. This gives something to think about it, you'll see. And this gave a concept for Dr. Dan Yeager, my friend. He's very brilliant from Australia. He has classified into three classes. Here you have the severe anatomical impairment. Here you have the non-anatomical factors, but the severe anatomical impairment that dominates here. And the scale 3 is a minor anatomical impairment, and moderate here. When you look into this, 70% have impairment in one or more non-anatomical factors. That's what's the logic here? Only 30% should be treated with the CPAP. 70% shouldn't be treated. We are treating with them without considering these things, the basics. That's why the physiology is important. Then you have in palm scale, it's a milder, you can give a mandibular advancement device, neither you have to combine non-anatomical treatments, one or two, depending on arousals, short arousal threshold, or else muscle responsiveness, you have to give different accordingly. I don't go into the details of that. Here, this is, we have to measure the traits to treat. I mean to find what's happening in this patient. Here we do it with a CPAP. This is very much interesting. You should understand this ventilation. In the sense, when you put a CPAP to optimal level, there is no rata, there is no hypopnea, there is no apnea, there is no snoring. It's an optimum level in the sleep. If you suddenly drop the mask pressure, if it's 4 to 0, for example, 4 centimeters water, nobody, if you're a normal non-OSA patient, it's okay, we at sleep stage, we don't do snoring and things like that. When you drop it here, what happens? This ventilatory drive, what is ventilatory drive? Is the respiratory efforts and accumulation of CO2. It's a chemical drive. This ventilatory drive is 0 at eupnea. Just here also it's 0. And what happens? But the ventilation is decreased. This is the passive collapsibility. This is the anatomy, impaired anatomy. It can go down to 50%, 20%, 30%, 60% according to the patient. If you leave it here, the muzzle, because of the increasing respiratory drive, it recruits the chemical drive CO2, accumulates and muzzle contracts. This it recruits, and then this recruited, then this increases slightly the airway, but it doesn't open it up completely. Sometimes here, when this muscle responsiveness increases the ventilation here. That's called muscle responsiveness. Sometimes if you leave it for a certain period, 3 minutes or so, it can come up and then it can come to the normal, or else you can wake up with aerosol here. That's the thing. I mean, it's a fundamental thing here. And here we have to know the interaction, intended ventilation and achievable ventilation. We all know the distance, because here is around some 6 liters like that. It has fallen down to 1.5 liters. This is the passive collapsibility. This is collapsible airway here. We see that. And when this thing is intended ventilation, when you're decreasing the ventilation, the ventilatory drive increases here. And achievable ventilation is a response to muscle gain. They should equate at some point. Here, when the intended ventilation and then the achievable ventilation, the join here, the patient, before the arousal, the patient will not have any OSA. If it occurs here, yes, he will wake up before the muzzle effectiveness is complete. Here, I want to show you a simple example here. This is the muzzle response. It's a good response and a poor response. Here you have the passive collapsibility. Here, this is the muzzle response. This is a very poor muzzle response. It should go up like this. Okay, and this guy is having high loop gain. This is severe OSA 95 units per hour. That we should know, because the interaction of these all the phenotypes. And then nowadays, we used to do the CPAPs in the lab and all. Now we are doing automated PSGs. Automated PSG, you can do it at home. You can record it. You can know a lot of things I'll show you, one after the other. You can know, because we calculate this is ventilation and ventilatory drive. It's complicated. Don't see this. Here, if you see here, this is the V passive here, this collapsibility here, and then the muscle contracts, this muscle compensation, V active, it is close to 100%. This muscle compensation is very good. I would stop like this because you are not a physiologist. It will complicate the story. Then, here you have impaired dilator muscle function. If you, in the last slide, if it goes down, how do you treat it? There are many ways to treat at that time. This is from the Danny Eckert, he likes OMT. And here, upper airway muscle training, it's unknown. It's not, because we haven't done good, basic studies, physiological studies. We are doing together in future, a lot. And this decreases by 50%, but when we go into the literature of Tamasha, we have observed that 50% reduction in the AHI of that. And then hypoglossal nerve stimulation is an utter failure. Why? Because they obtain only 50 to 70% and 30% had high loop gain or increased passive collapse voltage. You can stimulate the nerve, some drugs now, if there is a big anatomic impairment or high loop gain. Here is a decipromine. We are using drugs at this moment. This decipromine increases the genioglossus activity and decreases the actual frequency. And we know that. And now we have an idea that we have a conception that all the benzodiazepines, they give apnea. It's not true. Because if you take the zolpidem, it increases the arousal threshold so that the patient, it takes time to the muscle to respond, enough time to respond. At the same time, there is muscle responsiveness. Like alprazolam things, they can, the myorelaxants, they can decrease the muscle responsiveness. Here, now, this is a study by Mr. Moreau. They used as a combination of atomoxetine and oxybutynin, and they got good results, but they can use in mild or what they go say, I don't want to go into the details. Now we should look into that. Now we come to this part, the important part. This upper atrial muscle control, there is a neural drive, there is a mechanical drive, and there is a cubical drive. This neural drive comes from retrolateral medulla. This is six, there are six and some single motor units. It is very important because inspiratory and expiratory are on the posterior part of the tongue, and expiratory is the anterior part, so that the tongue moves forwards. Yeah. And then there are mechanical receptors that with increased respiratory efforts, because increasing negative pressures, this here EMG increases is significantly correlated with increasing negative pressures, intrathoracic pressures. But it's not always. If you see the red line here, sometimes it doesn't increase or completely absent, even with increasing negative pressures in case of obesity patients. That's the reason why we can see this increase in EMG cannot equate to upper airway opening. There is a missing link. There are many missing links, one after the other. We'll look into that. Here I will show you how how the muscle retracts. How the muscle recruits and responds to the obstruction here. Now it's a V apnea, means normal breathing here. There's a collapse, little collapse, not much here. If you see, look into that, it started here, it started like that, but it's very poor response. EMG response is very poor. That I think is you can understand, it's very simple because it's diaphragmatic. And here is again, when you see here, it's better, you see sometimes have a look here. It says be passive, it's decreasing. Even with this no muscle recruitment here, the collapsing, this collapse is increasing 70, 60, 50, 40%. Yeah, and what happens with increasing negative pressures here? This is another, there is an arousal of the patient himself to survive. This is robust. Again, it's a parallax here. This muscle response is very good. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Here you have the robust muscle responsiveness. See, the EMG is very nice. Here it's recruiting because with increasing negative pressures here, there is an obstruction here, it's apnea. And then what's happening? There's only arousal, it gets up. And then this muscle responsiveness is not sufficient to open up the airway. There's no equation. That the thing is, the only recruitment of EMG, if you talk about, okay, I'll put the needles and see whether it's fine or not, it doesn't complete the story. There is again, the recruitment increase in the EMG doesn't relate to the opening of the airway. Because if you take somebody who is a patient, in the night times it is twice increased. Also recruits, but he's having disturbances in certain stages of sleep. In the morning he's not. Why? Because there are other pharyngeal muscles. The tonic muscls are keeping open. It's a coordinated action. Only it's not the tongue and pharynx, it is all the pharyngeal muscles. That is interesting to hear. Yeah, I explained it finish up. This is important because this is a graph, don't look at the graph. I'll show you the points because it's complicated, because it's essential. Our professor, Christine Gilmano, he regretted why he invented the term HI. Because people are looking at the HI, okay, 30, Dr. Koka, I treat with CPAP, 15 to 30, I give a mandibular response device. That's nonsense. You can't treat a frequency variable. You have to treat the collapsibility. When you hear, we can measure now the airflow, the collapsibility, by dividing the ventilation by ventilatory drive. That is measured here. Here he has 100%. There's no collapsibility here. Okay, he's 0. That's fine. He's not an OSA patient. Just leave it. It's a little bit complicated for you. It's 3 and 4. It's very simple. I tell you, 1 you divide with 2. What happens? It's 50%. Okay. Then, if the ventilatory drive increases, what happens? And the obstruction ventilation decreases. This happens. Here, here the ventilation decreases and ventilator drive increases. These two, 3rd and 4, are having 40 and 60 HI. Okay, that's fine. Here, 5th one, he has no OSA at all, but he has 50% drop in the 50% collapsibility. If he comes to me and I say, I look into this, I do every day all these polysomnographies. I look, okay, guy, you don't have OSA, don't treat you. It's not fair. He has a very big cardiovascular and metabolic risk. That's the reason why phenotyping, and we got to have new tools, automated PSG, to clarify before giving a treatment what to give, what type of treatment, not looking at the OSA, the frequency variable, which I hate to talk about that. This is again the airflow. This is because I like this. Because by the airflow also you can see where the obstruction is. Is it interglossal level, is it soft palate, or in the epiglottis or the lateral pharyngeal wall. Just by looking at the curve, I will go here, I'll tell. This is the flow, okay? This is the airflow. And here you have this negative esophageal pressure here. Okay, that's fine. See, this this tongue is collapsing here. There is transverse. By looking at the airflow, this is called negative effort dependence. The peak normally should be like this. This part is gone. The upper part, this part of the hat is not there. This is negative effort dependence. By the shape of that, we can really know. But the percentage of that also we calculate. I need not tell about how to calculate here. Just by looking at it, as a pattern learning, we can say this is from the tongue. Obstruction is at the level of the tongue. And I'll show you the soft palate. Soft palate is a very soft structure. Then epiglottis also, it collapses more. That's the reason why you can have a scooping effect here, like this, We'll go, because we have no time. I can. Thank you. Yes, so you see this. You see here, this is soft palate. I've come to show you. This is the soft palate here, contracting, going here, scooping, this depression here, the ventilation is going down. Because by looking at the airflow, now we can tell where the obstruction is. Some people will have multiple obstructions at the levels. You can do surgery for a patient with multiple levels of obstruction. You take the soft palate obstruction is usually associated with tongue obstruction at that level. Epiglottic obstructions are dangerous because they increase negative pressure, some more there, it's more collapsible, and they're very intermittent. Very intermittent. Sometimes we can miss them, and they are always associated with soft palate one, not with the tongue. Tongue is the good thing. It doesn't collapse more because of it's a fatty organ. Here you have lateral pharyngeal wall. We come here because you see, this is, I'll show you. This is the lateral pharyngeal wall, okay? This is epiglottis down, and we put the endoscope, you can see this. This is the shape here. We'll see how it's moving. Let's see, here you have the scooping, it's not the same. There is some epiglottic depression also, you see that, because I know I can tell. This is epiglottis, this is catastrophe, you see this. We say in French, catastrophe, it's dangerous. Come on, see how it's closing this epiglottis, and you have depression, in sudden fall of the airflow here. This is very damageable. If you do a surgery, an ENT surgeon, I'm an ENT by background, of course, I look into that. I don't do this epiglottic surgery or something else, so I'm sorry, but it doesn't look. This will fit, it's not helping the patient. Then we talk why this is all happening. That is the poor muscle function. The poor muscle function, because you all know here, OMTs and dentists, dentists very well know this. This is alteration of the muscle fiber, the type 1 to type 2. Type 2A, type 2B, okay, that's not important. Here the type, these are glucolactate, these are anaerobic, this is an adaptation because they are fast attracting and only fatiguability, more fatigue, endurance is very less. They can withstand obstruction like that. When we did a PET scan for this patient, what happens? This glucose uptake is low. This is obesity patient, and glucose uptake is higher in a normal control because the type 2 has less GLUT4 is a transporter of the glucose, and also its synchronized activity. That relates even in the imaging sequences. We know what's happening. The simple physiology sometimes is phenotyping, put the clothes on, doesn't complete the story. We can't do one day or the other. We have to combine with imaging, the functional imaging. This is endurance, you all know, because we told that there is fast contracting. That's the reason why there is increase here in the maximum protrusion force. At that time, my friend Danny, he did it with protrusion, and here endurance is halved in these patients. It's normal. It's logic, and we all know about it. And IOP is better than this. IOP arrived later on after this experiment because we can see the complete elevation of the tongue, how much pressure, because only to protrude, we don't protrude the tongue every night with each and every breath. Don't we? Yeah, we don't, and I don't think we should do that. Here, this imaging, DTI images, everybody knows this because there is a tongue fat accumulation and tongue volume. Increase in the tongue volume is genetic. Sometimes we can, even in the normal people, normal subjects, they can have increased tongue volume. But here you have a fat accumulation, especially in the mid and lower posterior part of the tongue. This is very pathognomic. We don't know why it's occurring there. We have no answer. Here, BMI matched people. There two are same. This guy is BMI is 35. Here is 34. Yes, the tongue volume is 95. Here 65 millimeters square. Here tongue fat volume higher, and here AHI is 59. AHI, okay, collapsibility is more here, and this patient has is less. This is only mild one, 9 to 10. These are the functional changes occurring with the OSA. Long-standing, the more years they come to see you, the more crippled they are. That's the reason why you were doing. I was so happy to see all the dentists, OMTs, everybody here looking at the children to say so that they can be crippled in their future. In my office, I see the 86-year-old with a tongue tie. 50-year-old with a tongue tie, 26-year-old tongue. We have left the generations on the streets. 2 generations have gone. I'm sorry. Here, here you have the fact. Okay, this will increase viscosity, and you have decreased stiffness and the contractility, dull neuropathy, and all blah blah.
Let's now get into this very good thing. This is a new phenomena. It's coming into action. But the thing is not everybody is not using that because it's very difficult to use that. This is called ultrasound elastography. Ultrasound elastography is fun. It's a very good objective index we can bring in genetics. Here when we put the MRI, we take that to know, because we can't know really the time here. That's why we take this and we have to, what you call some superposal times, so that we know where we are. Okay, we can know by this box, some direction of the muscle fibers, which locality you are observing, and by the pixels you have 0 to pi here angles and the radius of these pixels, you can see that. It's very interesting, but here I want to show you, not much, I don't want to talk more. Here, what I have here is the it's the stiffness. Stiffness is the shade force, because they put a rater here, okay, and we look into that and ask the patient to be quiet, take a deep breath, things like that, not going into emotional state, not push the tongue out, so that we can measure the stiffness. But we can't do when the patient is sleeping. It's very difficult. We are doing in wakefulness. It's very difficult. Here, this is shear loss. Shear loss means there is no propagation of the stiffness, these vibrations. So this is increases naturally with the fat, inflammation, or edema, all these things. That's if the shear loss increases, the obstruction increases. Every time the OSC, the severity of the OSC increases, and the shear forces, if they are is very good, the OSC is very less, is mild.
How old is that patient?
He's around 40.
He has no teeth.
Yeah? No, we have put a block there. Yeah, now this is a decrease in tongue stiffness. We'll go, this is, and I talked about it. Here, this is a very anisotropic method. It's very interesting here. Here you see here, it's simple, it's parallel, and here you have perpendicular here, yeah, because here you have one line here, and this is one. Here, this tongue stiffness is decreased along the length of the fiber, so that fiber shortens and it can't contract well. And the increase in EMG has nothing to do with the tongue stiffness. And then the tongue stiffness has nothing to do with the collapse, because the passive collapsibility has not decreased with the loss of tongue stiffness. But with the only thing, the active peakage is reduced. And this is Impaired, because when you put a CPAP to somebody else, I told you that decreases the ventilatory drive, because I don't do any respiratory effort like that, because CPAP is there and breathe. Normal obstruction. Ventilatory drive is low. When this is without, there is no change in the stiffness. Even you remove the ventilatory drive is EMG recruitment, it's a neural drive also. The muscle contractiveness, EMG is a neural drive, and you remove it, even the stiffness hasn't changed. Then EMG doesn't liquid stiffness. Here, I'll go faster. Okay, this is histological. This analysis, it's called analysis. There is a discipline. These are especially the type 1 fibers, the empty, and they're not. They don't show the discipline, and the dystrophin anomalies are very much seen in smokers and OSA patients. This is normal, mild, and moderate. It's not OSA. It is normal swallowing, mild swallowing, and moderate swallowing. These abnormalities are found in mild and moderate, much more in the OSA. That's fine. This is very interesting because these are the movements, tongue movement. If you take this part here, this is the nasopharyngeal part of the tongue, this is the oropharyngeal part of the tongue. Naturally, it should move like this, or else it doesn't move much, less than 1 millimeter. But there's a paradoxical movements, in bidirectional movements. As the counter movements are happening, this part goes backwards, and the other one, this part comes anteriorly. If this goes backwards, what happens? It pushes the soft palate backwards, and there is obstruction. This is typically seen in the mostly these are seeing, these movements can occur everywhere, but they are very less. In mild and moderate OSA, they are seeing very high, because they say that it's due to neuropathy changes. We don't know. And here you see this is interesting. You have to concentrate on this because I talked about this. See this, the tongue part is pushing the soft palate backwards. Okay. This is a little small movement because it's in case severe OSA. Yeah. Now we talk about myofunctional therapy. Everybody talked more. The other day, Mark Muller, we showed this slide. There's improvement of AHI, and there's an increase in the low SpO2. Yes, this is increased. This is decreased by 6 points. It's very important. It's very interesting. There are around some 120 cases, 120 patients. This is a good study by Bebraich. She has done a randomized study with sham and some 3 months of OMTs, and she observed a good drop in AHI and increase in the low SpO2, like oxygen nadir has increased, and also decreased neck circumference. I don't put all the slides, it's not necessary. This is myofunctional therapy adherence to continue. This is very interesting. We are going into that because we want to look into the physiological aspects of that. Why it is happening? This after they have done again like some sham with MFT, with CPAP, adherence is increased by around 2 hours. This is great because with no MFT, they have only 3.6, not good. With adherence, because of mouth breathing, they have, and there are results. So because of mouth breathing and certain things, we got to look into that. What's happening physiologically? The studies haven't been done deeply. We talked about it. We are doing that. And then here, that's very interesting. Even with MFT, the tight shirts, they don't increase. So you know that it's not an alternative to CPAP, but it helps the adherence in more severe patients. We have to, like in cancer, we used to give surgery plus chemotherapy like that. It's a part of the game. You have to. It's an arm, one multimodality treatment. You must include that. Then I talk about the mask because our friends, ENTs in France and dentist friends, they put that, okay, I put a mandibular advancement device, okay, that's fine, 15 to 30, you go away. It's not possible. It's not increasing the muscle responsiveness. You see that this reduced the collapsibility, the upper gate, mid gate is same. Even with if you do the sleep surgery, you get the same results. If you do the sleep surgery, you have to do that. Then now we see that there are many things we don't know much. There are many things, but all we show, the mobility, the stiffness, and also the force, you can't improve just by taking of EMG or giving some drug to increase the muscle tone. It needs MFT to act in all areas because the swallowing is poor in these patients. The peripharyngeal muscles, the coordinated movement of the pharyngeal and peripharyngeal muscles are necessary to tonic as well as basic. The tonic muscles are important to stiffen, to be open before we breathe. I think when there is no wakefulness, when we go to sleep, the tonic, they lose much tone. All the peripheral muscles also. There is this coordination. Even the EMG increases that don't help anything. We have to remodel. This MFT remodels the pharyngeal muscles, upper airway dilators and peripheral muscles. And then we have to now understand that we got to recognize these phenotypes before we give a treatment, like muscle responsiveness, arousals, and loop gauge. You can employ this as a conjunction with as a conventional treatment, as we all seen here, with the mandibular advancement device with MFT to improve the muscle function. Especially in old people, they have a lot of problems. They have the sarcopenia, and also the muscle function is less, and passive collapsibility is high, loop gain is less. okay, for heaven's sake. They're edentulous. They don't have teeth. How you put a mandibular implant? You can't fix it with screws over there because the alveolus is very thin. Then they can't tolerate CPAP. There's no other go. You can't do the treatment. Therapy is a myofunctional therapy for all patients. You have to, even the week after, do a study on that. It's a passionate thing when you know the physiology, when you do it every day, when you're looking at the curves, when you're thinking in all ways, get around all the bush round, you got to do, and this apply and to improve the muscle responsiveness and everything else. And only not that, to decrease the HI is not my problem. HI, it will vanish within 2 or 3 years. We'll do our best to do that. The thing is collapsibility and all, and also that the main idea is to have the well-being of the patient and quality of life and quality of breathing. That you're getting for children, for the adults, and for the old people. You shouldn't neglect. Thank you very much.